Alright, this is John Colo with DiscountJuicers.com. Today I have the Omega VERT here with me, and I have some updates. You know, there's been some reviews online about the Omega VERT and how the plastic tends to crack and how you lose the little plug and the little rubber plug and all these other things. Now I want to address those issues right now for you. So the first thing I'd like to point out is I want to go ahead and take this juicer apart really quick. And literally you do that by turning this housing to the right. And you'll turn this housing also to the right, and these will come out. Now this is the automated wiping blade that no other juicer has, as well as the juicing screen here, and the auger. Now one of the problems that people had with the Omega VERT juicer was that this is the old model that came with it, and as you can see on the old model they had a little rubber plug. And this little rubber plug, what it does is it actually keeps the pulp inside the machine so that it'll be drier when it comes out. And the thing that was happening is that since this does come out, people would actually lose it. So right when I immediately received the machine and started using it for the first time, I told Omega that, hey man, this is not cool. People are going to lose this unless you want to make a lot of money selling these extra plugs. You should provide a fix for that. So I was very lucky, and they said, we're working on it, we're going to get it done. And I'm happy to report now, based on my input and probably others, now the plug is actually on a hinge. So you can see now this hinge has a hinge, and the plug is never going to be lost. It's always affixed to the unit. So Omega is taking strides to always continually improve this machine based on customer input and dealer input. So hopefully they're listening to me when I do make some suggestions for them. Are you out there, Omega? Are you listening? I wouldn't lead you wrong. So the next thing is that the plastic on the screen actually has been cracking. Let me show you a couple examples of this. And these are just 3 examples I have. The first thing, you may see some stress marks on the bottom. Now sometimes if you see these cracks on the bottom, it might actually just be the lines of the plastic molding. So at the stress cracks, a couple on the bottom is not going to hurt you. It's still going to work. The problem arises actually when there's cracks in this main body right here. This band, basically, there's a lot of force being exerted on this screen, and this plastic, according to Omega, they had a bad batch of plastic, so that this plastic was actually cracking, and they said they had improved that. So hopefully that's been improved. They have new plastic that's going to be stronger, and if it does continue to break, I'm confident that Omega will definitely reinforce this screen and make it crack proof. So here's the new screen, and you can kind of see there's a different color on the plastic, so hopefully they've gotten this resolved. They're going to make this stronger. And I would like to say, if your screen ever does crack, that's and it's cracked due to you're juicing something, you're not doing anything that you're not supposed to do in the juicer. So you're only supposed to make fresh fruit and vegetable juices in this juicer, along with something like soy milk or almond milk and things like that, things that are liquid. You don't want to put any kind of solids through this machine. Things that may void your warranty include putting whole nuts through the machine. Things like frozen bananas through this machine, will probably void your warranty too. So you want to just do what you're supposed to do with the machine and don't do anything else. So hopefully, they're going to cover that for 10 years. So if your screen does break, you know what? Call them up and tell them, hey, my screen broke. I was juicing carrots. You know what? And they're going to send you one. And if they don't, and if you bought the juicer from Discount Juicers, I want you to personally email me, sales@discountjuicers.com. Give me your order number and let me know what happened and how Omega is treating you. Because you know what? I want you to be a satisfied customer if you're a customer of Discount Juicers and to be taken care of. If they're not treating you right, let me know and I will make sure that you're taken care of at Discount Juicers. So let's go ahead and reassemble the juicer. Now, so those are the 2 updates with the Omega juicer. They improve the flap, and the other issue is the screen, and they are improving the screen. The other thing with the flap is I want to make sure that every time you put the juicer together, this flap is thoroughly pressed all the way in as far as it could go. If it's not all the way in, you're not going to get the highest yield of juice that you could be getting out of the Omega VERT juicer. So next, you're going to, on the assembly, we put this unit in. You turn it to the right, it kind of locks into place. You're going to then take the wiping blades and put the screen into that. And then that just basically goes in. You want to line up the red dot here with the red dot on the side of the machine and put that in. Then you're going to take the auger. It kind of turns put that in as well. And then on the housing, there's a little arrow that lines up with a red dot. You put that in place and turn it, it'll lock into place. Another issue that people have had with the juicer is that, you know, the Omega VERT juicer, while it is an excellent juicer, and I do really like it a lot, it is my favorite juicer, you know, there's no such thing as a perfect juicer. Many people think, oh, the Omega VERT juicer is the perfect juicer. Well, it's not the perfect juicer. It gets very close to being the perfect juicer, and it's very easy to use. There's a lot of rave reviews, but you know what? If you're really picky, it's not the best juicer. It does tend to make a little bit pulpier juice sometimes, and one of the inputs that I made to the factory is to include a strainer with the juicer, so I hope you guys are listening at the factory and at Omega to include a strainer. In the meantime, I'm suggesting if you don't like it really pulpy, you just buy a standard strainer at your local, you know, kitchen store, hardware store. I mean, I think this one cost me $1 or $2 at the dollar store. So literally all you do is you just put it on top of the catch bowl, the catch cup where your juice comes out like that. And as the juice comes out, it gets strained so you don't get that pulp in your juice. Some people like the pulp in your juice, and you wouldn't have to put that. Another issue that people have been having is when they're juicing 100% fruits. Now, I don't necessarily recommend juicing 100% fruits, and while this juicer does do really good at juicing fruits, and let me tell you, not a lot of juicers do that well at juicing fruits, so you're lucky that this one does. You know, fruits are a lot different consistency than, say, a carrot. They have a lot softer fiber. I mean, I could literally take this apple and squeeze it. And I can't do that to this carrot, so because I could squeeze this and it's a lot softer, that means it's a lot softer fiber, and it's not going to be as effective when you juice. It's going to make it a lot more pulpier and more of a, you know, I don't know, smoothie type consistency or thicker, you know, and people may not like that. So what I could recommend is two things. Number one is when you're juicing fruits, pour a little bit of water in there when you're juicing the fruits. That'll dilute the juice, make it a little bit thinner. The other thing, if you think the pulp's coming out too wet, whether you're juicing fruits or vegetables, you could always take the pulp out of the machine and put it back through into the juicer. And what that's going to do is the pulp is going to get further wrung out and get drier. You know, the machine's going to be more efficient. So actually I juiced mangoes, and the mango juice, you know, it was pretty thick. But I took that mango pulp and fed it back through the juicer several times. By the time the pulp came out, it was really dry. So the last thing I want to talk about is on the Omega VERT juicer, there's been some, you know, people saying, well, hey, it doesn't juice greens that well. Well, you know what? For being an all-purpose juicer now, you know, it's not necessarily meant to just juice greens. It juices the gamut from hard veggies to fruits to greens, all different shapes and sizes of produce, you know. And if you're juicing a lot of different things, it's going to be hard to focus and really do good at one thing. So it does good. Overall, it does excellent at most things, and at some things it could do better, like, you know, maybe fruits, but, you know, once again, no juicer does fruits that well. And on the greens, you know, if you wanted to juice straight greens, so meaning if you want to make a juice full of only greens, so right here I have some dino kale from my garden. If you want to juice only dino kale, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend buying the Omega VERT juicer. I would recommend an Omega 8004 or 8006 or even an 8003 or 8005 juicer instead. That kind of juicer is going to be more efficient at juicing leafy green vegetables. But at the same token, that juicer is not going to be more efficient at juicing carrots. You know, so it's a plus and minus. But if you want to juice a variety of things, so here today, what we're going to juice for you is we have some celery, carrots, apples, and kale. And this is a good standard juice to make. And juicing with this combination, the Omega VERT, is excellent. It's going to do the best job of most juicers out there based on my testing of all the different kinds of juicers. And it's the easiest to clean, easiest to use, and it's just real cool. So let's go ahead and start juicing and check it out. So as you can see, we kept the strainer on there, so when the juice comes out, it's going to get strained a little bit. And now we're juicing Cameo apples in the Omega VERT juicer. And now when you're juicing with the Omega VERT juicer, it's very important to rotate the produce that you're juicing. The other thing is, a lot of people, if you're feeding the produce too fast in the juicer, you know, it's not going to work as well as if you like slow down. If you try to cram stuff through there, you know, that's when you may get more pulp in your juice than if you just kind of like, you know, drop something in and let it work at its own pace. Now, it's really important when you're juicing the leafy green vegetables to, you know, put a couple leafy greens in there, you know, and then follow it with like some celery. And then, you know, after I put the celery in there, then you're going to, you know, switch it up and put an apple in there. And you always want to keep like rotating the produce you put through the machine. Don't put all kale, don't put all the celery. You know, one leaf or one little, you know, bit of each kind. So I'm gonna put some kale in there first, follow that by an apple. Then I'm gonna follow that by some celery, and let the machine work and do its job, and you know, take the produce in its own pace. Don't just, you know, cram it through there. All right, so we're almost done juicing with the Omega VERT juicer, and as you can see, we've juiced all the celery, carrots, kale, and apples that we had. We made about 3 cups of juice. So once again, this is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for YouTube visitors.